You were pregnant at 14 years old. How did you overcome that stigma?
You know, I always knew I would be successful, and I knew that I would not stay in a place of rut and glut. I have a very high regard for people and parents and mothers, fathers even, who take on that responsibility. It's not easy work. There was no reason why I should have been pregnant at 14. I should not have been going to the clubs. I was in clubs at 14 and 15 years old. I don't have a ride home, Elena, and I'm getting in the car with a stranger, and I still do this. I fall asleep in the car. It's like I'm a baby as an adult.
I thought you were going to say, I still get in the car with strangers.
No.
That's
whether extraordinary skill. Badass. Yeah, I'm after what I want.
Welcome to the Elena Cardone Show. Today I have a very good friend of mine, also business partner in real estate. Claudienne Hibbert-Smith is so incredible. I wish I had more people like you on my team. You're incredible. Our story is interesting and how we met. Claudienne doesn't know this, but from the moment I saw her, I just knew there was something very special about her. A lot of times I operate on instinct. I try not to make that a habit because I like to look at somebody's statistics. I looked at her statistics and they backed my gut instinct. And I said, I want to work with this woman. And so she had a metaphorical target on her back because I wanted her on my team as my partner. And then I went and played the chessboard game of life so I could, coincidentally make that happen to where we would run into each other. And I did, and I won. Checkmate. I got her.
We both won.
Oh, thank you. Oh. Yes. Okay, so Claudienne, you are here today. You've got a phenomenal story. You were pregnant at 14 years old. How did you overcome that stigma?
You know, I always knew I would be successful, and I knew that I would not stay in a place of rut and glut. And I just made a decision that I wanted success. And so I did what everybody thought I wouldn't do. And the first step was I didn't miss a day of school, and I graduated. And those were the two things that set me apart from what those naysayers were saying about me.
Did you do it to spite them? Did you think if I graduate school and don't miss a day of school, this will really kick them in the teeth? Did the vengeance fuel you?
It did, and it still does. I like when people tell me I can't do something. I don't know why. I'm wired that way. But I knew that I was going to do something different to prove them wrong, and that was my goal. My goal was really to prove them wrong.
Yeah, and you did. So now your son, Amari, when you had him at 14 years old, does he have a good relationship with his father? You know,
I was a single parent. I definitely was not the parent that kept him away from his father. But when he came around, if Amari said I wanted to go to my dad's house, I let him go no matter what the situation was. He didn't pay child support. He was in the streets. He's a street dude.
What does that mean, a street dude?
He was on he was a drug dealer.
Okay.
It is what it is. He was a drug dealer, and he was in the streets. And I always, had in the back of my mind thought about a car being sprayed up with bullets. I thought about being in the wrong space at the wrong time. Our relationship didn't last long. We separated when I was 15. We were still in high school. We were young. But there was a time where he did clean up his life.
And is that when you let Amari into his life?
No.
Why would you risk your son being put in an environment where his vehicle could have been shot up with your son in it?
I think at that time I was young, so I was 14, 15, but I understood and knew that that was my decision to date his father. It was my decision to have sex with his father. And unfortunately, kids don't know and understand all those intricate details. What they want is their parents. They want their parents. And so when the opportunity presented itself, I'd send him over. His grandmother was there. She was a good person. And so I knew I had that to fall back on. And his dad lived with his mom at the time. So that was a good thing. And I was always excited when he was dating somebody too, because, somebody in the relationship had to have some good sense. So I kind of went with that. And I just never wanted to be the parent that kept my son away from his father.
Got it. Do they have a good relationship today?
Well, I tell you, his father's deceased. He was murdered. He was actually stabbed to death in his sleep. That guy and he were friends. They knew each other.
Was that hard on your son?
Absolutely, and it was hard for me to make that phone call. Just imagine I'm in Florida, Miami, and Amari's all the way in college playing basketball. It's basketball season. And in fact, I didn't even call Amari. I called his coaches and asked. I obviously told them what was the situation. And they called him in and we all had a discussion. Obviously, I was on the phone. They were in the conference room of the athletic facility. And I gave him the news. And they allowed him to come home and do what he needed to do.
Did he cry right there?
I'm not sure. I wasn't there.
Yeah.
I don't know. But he and his father had a relationship. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it was the best relationship, but right around that same time, his dad started to come around more. I was always inviting, listen, Amari's going to prom, come on over. You know, I was never the parent that said, you know, you can't come over, you can't do this, and you can't do this. No, even though he wasn't financially active, and he came when he came. You know, it was here and there. It wasn't anything consistent, but I just always wanted to make sure I was not the person to be blamed for him not being around.
Well, that's good, because now he's not around. Did they ever catch the killer?
They did. So the guy who stabbed him to death was actually living in the same house with him and his godfather. And he was mentally challenged.
Because he was doing drugs?
Well...
What kind of drugs were they doing?
They weren't doing drugs. They were selling drugs. But at this point, they weren't.
They didn't dabble in their own supply?
I don't know. You know,
what was the supply?
I don't know. You know, I don't know.
Wow.
I was that distant from what they were doing. But the person who stabbed him to death had mental issues. He had mental issues, and he's serving his life in prison. Wow. And remember that this is the time where my son's father was making a change in his own life. You know, even my mother, who couldn't stand him, was like, wow, he's doing so much better. You know, and that meant a lot coming from her. That meant a lot coming from her.
Wow.
But
what a shame,
you know,
huh?
karma is one thing, and we've always, and I just had this conversation and was like, you know, I can't judge somebody for what's going on right now because I don't know what they've done. Mm-hmm. And I believe in karma. I believe you've got to outdo, even for myself. I've not always been this Claudienne. I've been to jail. I have done some things that I should not have done. And I just have to make sure I do enough good.
Why did you go to jail?
Well, a couple of things. So now my life has gone on. I'm about 16. I'm dating another street guy.
And this is code for dealing drugs?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Okay, so you got the code.
Got the code.
And they called, I'm not going to give him his name, but they called him 9 lives. And he walked with a limp. And
this is the new boyfriend.
This is a new boyfriend.
And
2
why
years
does he
later.
have a limp? I mean, am I too much details? Why is
he was shot up.
That's what
he was shot up.
All right. Okay, continue.
And I'm dating this guy. Now I'm driving his vehicle. In fact, I was 15 because I did not have a license yet. I was still riding with my restricts. And I'm driving his car and I'm taking myself home. And the police wanted him. And I don't know if they thought it was him in the car or me in the car. But I wasn't stopped too far away from his car. We called it Lodgemont at the time, which is, it's probably still called Lodgemont, but it was in Miami, and they threatened me. They said, if you don't give us him, we're just gonna take you. And I was manhandled pretty bad.
No.
Yeah, very, very bad.
They beat you up, they hit you.
I still have scars on my leg.
No. Why? They pushed you to the ground?
Well, they kind of rammed me a little bit. I was a little probably resistant.
Oh my!
I was a little resistant because I had not done anything. I was
so
not.
you were
I
putting up a fight.
I did not pass the stop sign. I did not run a light. I was not speeding. I literally got stopped for no reason. Can you imagine that? And that's where my ideal of police started to shift a little bit to this is unfair. How could they do this? Why would they treat me this way? But, you know, I was with the wrong company, Elena, and that's what happens when you're in the wrong company. You become whatever that company is, whether you're that company or not. And I knew what was going on. I knew what was going on. I had many people warn me about this gentleman. He was a lot older than I, too. He was a lot older than I.
Like how old?
A lot older.
Like you're 15.
At least 10 to 15 years older than I.
Okay, so he could have gone to jail right then and there.
He could have.
In today's world.
Yeah, he could have. He could
Oh
have.
my God. So basically they call that pedophilia.
Yeah. And basically it is.
And so what happens now? Do you turn him in?
No, I don't. I go to jail. I go to jail because there's a code that we gotta live by, and it just wasn't at that moment in my life. I mean, I don't even know if I would do it today. I don't engage.
You would never hang out with people that would be that much of a liability to you.
Not today.
Hell no.
Not
Look at your
today.
beautiful family.
Not today. Absolutely not
heck
today.
no. Okay.
I'm revived.
Oh, thank God.
I've been saved.
So you're in jail. How long are you in jail?
A few hours.
And he comes and gets you?
No, my parents have to come and get me. Elena, he could not come and get me.
Oh, because it has to be a parent when you're a minor?
Exactly, and not only that, remember the police at the time, which were very crooked cops at the time, and I'm not saying that about every cop. I'm not saying that. I do know that there are officers, there are great officers out there, but this group of officers had many complaints about them. They literally said, if you don't give us him, we will just take you down. And so my mom and dad were divorced and separated, so my mom had to pick me up. Yeah.
That was hard. Did they take away your shoelaces?
Well, you know, I thought I was a little hustler at the time, so.
Wait, but did they take
felt
away your
like I was-
shoelaces?
No. I don't even know. I don't remember that part.
Okay.
Like, I
when I
wasn't in
picked up
jail, I
my
was
friend
kinda-
from jail,
I
they
was
took away her
detained.
shoelaces.
I was detained until a parent came and got me.
Okay. So what did she say?
My mom was very passive. So it was just like, oh, Claudienne, not again. My mom has 4 children, and of the 4, I was the black sheep of the family. Literally by 13, I was deemed so far in the hole, like there was no saving Claudienne.
How many schools did you get kicked out of?
Quite a few. For
what?
I'd been to one elementary school, so I was good there, but I was expelled quite a bit.
Like, why? I've never been expelled.
Oh,
What do you
my
get expelled
goodness.
for?
Just not following the rules, fighting.
Like, so you
I
fought
called
a
the
lot.
principal,
You
the
were
black dog one time. He said, oh, no, ma'am, you are 10 days out. Like, I was not the best child. Between
But you're
fighting.
fist fighting. You're fist fighting?
I'm fighting.
You're fighting.
Yeah, and I'm not losing.
I would never want to get in a fight with you.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
So those were my days that just weren't good. They weren't good memories. They just were not good. I was keeping the wrong company.
What's the worst thing you ever did?
What was the worst thing I've ever done? Man, I don't even know. I was that kid. I was that.
Did you steal a car?
No, I didn't do that.
Did you spray
type of
paint
stuff.
any buildings?
Well, I did throw eggs at somebody's house. Yeah.
Okay, that's always fun.
Yeah. I was upset, and I said, you know, we just
Was
gonna
it an
egg their house.
ex-boyfriend?
No, it was a girl that just, you know, I was bouncing around from high school to high school, so I was always a new kid on the block. I was cute. The guys always wanted to date me.
Of course.
And so that just wasn't a good look. It just wasn't a good look for the new girl on the block. I've always had to defend myself. I've always had to be in a position where I defended myself. But I'll tell you this, I moved to a different school, and it was Carroll City Senior High, which is my alma mater. I love my school. I'm glad that I'm a graduate from Miami Carroll City Senior High School. And that was the time where I said, you know what, I'm gonna do something different. I'm gonna do something different. I'm not gonna hang around, and I was a straight A student.
During all of this, jail time, everything, straight A student. You were bored.
B's occasionally, but I always had D's and F's in conduct. I was the girl that would throw paper when the teacher
Because you were
was
bored. You weren't
Yeah.
challenged.
Well,
You throw the paper at
the teacher would be teaching, and we would throw paper. We'd be like, on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, right? We'd throw the paper at the teacher. Like, we were not good. But something just said, you know what? I want to do something different. You know, I want to do something different. I don't want to date these guys who are 20 and 15 years older than I in the streets. In fact, I'll be honest with you, I ran into my mentor, which was my 7th grade teacher. And she was young at the time, and she was dating a guy that played football at the UM. And I remember having to teach class for her sometimes. She'd say, Claudienne, get to the board and teach the class. And I would literally, she was my math teacher, and I would literally teach the class. I would be teaching them shortcuts. Please excuse my Aunt Dear Sally. And I'd tell them how to figure out an equation.
Because you're such a good teacher.
I'm a good teacher.
You're on my leadership team. Like, I always call you in. Hey, do this call. Do this support call. Help the new people. And you're so good at it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And so she's basically said, now she's not a teacher anymore. I'm going into 9th grade. She moves because they get married, and he plays for the Cowboys, and she moves to Dallas. And she's like, look, if you can change your life around, I'll buy you a car when you get to college. And I was like, well, my parents can't afford a car. You know, my dad's an entrepreneur. He's in the car business. He does auto body work, but they could not afford to buy me a car. And I was like, well, you know what? I like that gift. And I said, you know what, when I get to my new school, because I got put out of the last school, and when I get to my new school, I'm going to find me some swaggy friends, but some smart swaggy friends. And that's what I did. Those girls are still my friends today.
So who do you have in your circle today? Are you picky? Like, obviously, you know, the caliber of friends can make certain impacts on your life, whether they're assets or liabilities. So what's your inner circle look like today? Do they have qualifications? Does anyone get let in?
I am very quick to cut off. I very quickly can cut a string quickly and move on. I don't owe that person any explanation. I do not like when people compete with me in a negative manner. We're friends. We don't compete. We elevate together. And I see the red flags. I think, you know, God gives us all a gift, and I think mine is discernment. And I have good friends that are entrepreneurs, that are franchise owners, where they'll call me and say, Claudienne, I need you to sit in this interview. I mean, I sat in one of your interviews, you know, for one of your employees. And so, you know, my discernment is very, very good. And I'm a leader. I was just leading the people down the wrong path. So I still had leadership skills. I was just leading
That's how I
people in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
And when Tina actually said, hey, you need to turn your life around, she actually took me in. She asked my mom if I could come and live with her. And that maybe have been the best thing that happened to me at that juncture in my life. I was 13 years old.
Wow.
I was 13 years old.
What are the red flags that you look for?
So I've never been a smoker. I've never drank alcohol until I turned 40. I'm 44. And I don't excessively drink. There are 2 drinks that I'll drink. They're sweet. I do not use foul language. And so I try to steer myself away, even though I'm not critical of the people that do. Like, I'm not saying, oh, because you curse and you drink and you smoke, I don't want to hang around you. But if you're a consistent liar, if you are not telling the truth for no reason at all, I mean, you really shouldn't have to lie, but I know some people finagle some things sometimes, okay. Or they might bend the truth a little bit and exaggerate, but if it's a total exaggeration to the left, I'm done. I'm like, because if you do it to somebody else, you'll do it to me. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't think that a person can discern who and where they're gonna do it to. You know, if you just don't have good intent, then I don't want any parts. I don't care if it's gonna make me $1 million. I don't want any parts, because the same way you got there is the same way you're gonna be taken down, and I don't want to be a part of that. I don't want to be a part of that.
Did you receive upset, heartache when we became friends?
I don't think upset. I think I did something that the average person wants to do but don't have the courage to do it. And you were inviting, you were pleasurable. Like, I had not heard any negative anything, really. I didn't. And so I was served with a clean plate, and I was able to discern for myself. And then I said, wow, these people are very successful, you know, in billionaire status, and they're actually regular people at heart.
Is that hard for some people to believe? Was it hard for you to believe?
So when we came into connection, I don't know if you remember this, but I was at a 10X GrowthCon conference, and we had the second row seat, so it kind of let you into certain places. And it was lunch, and I remember walking myself up to you and say, hey, I'm Claudienne Hibbert. I was not interested in joining any other real estate company. You know, I just turned about 40. I wanted to retire very early. And, I have kids that are 27 years apart. So my son is almost 30 this year. He's going to be 30 this year. And then I have a 2 and a 3-year-old. And so it just made sense in my mind. I'm going to be an at-home mom. I'm going to enjoy this journey. And I did it. I did it for about 3 months. And I was like, this is not for me. I love being mother to my kids, but being at home was just not for me. And we quickly made some adjustments. And, you had that target on my back. And I'm like, man, Grant's team is calling me, like his right-hand man's calling me to be on a real estate show. They're looking for a top producer. I was so excited. I've been to Grove Cons before. And so now this is my window of opportunity to get my light shined on, or get the light shined. And
Grant has a big light, doesn't he?
Yes. And it was great. He took over most of my call, but it was great.
He took over the call?
He took over the whole segment.
Did you talk at all?
I did a little bit.
Oh,
but,
dear.
I
Okay.
gave some exercises to do on that call. And he did it. He started texting the people he knew in his phones. He came up with his own script, but he did it. He participated, and that was life-changing for me.
Oh, that's good. Well, it was life-changing for me because at least I got on your radar. At least I thought that I was on your radar after that.
Yeah, and you guys invited me to a Zoom, and I got on that Zoom, and people were putting very low numbers. I was like, I'm on the wrong call, and you were like, no, Claudienne, you're just a 10Xer. You're just a 10Xer. And so the rest is history. We're here, we're doing some big things together, and I'm excited about that.
Me too. Well, you mentioned after 3 months that it wasn't for you to be a stay-at-home mom. So this next question, it might have answered itself, but is it easier to be in business or to be a mother?
Yikes, that's a hard question.
Huh.
I think it's harder to be in business.
Okay, why?
My kids are my champions. They don't judge me. I walk in that door, I don't care if they're up, they are running to the front door. I'm off my phone, my bags are put down, and I'm picking them up. And so, they know me as mom. It makes it so much easier. But I'll tell you this, I used to hate going to do like errands and going to the grocery store. Like before I had the little baby, so I'd send Amari, or I'd say, Mario, can you go? Now, I'm like, I'll go to the store, I'll get the milk. I just need that little window of a break, And so I'm just like, I'll go. And Mario's like, no, I'll go this time. But it's been an amazing journey, though.
Yeah, it is an amazing.
It's harder to be in business than it is for me to be a mother.
Yeah.
I think.
Why? What makes business so hard?
You've got to learn people. People have to learn you. You have to discern. You have to really understand what people's intentions are. Like, what are the intentions? Like, I did not come in this business and say, you know what, I'm going to get on this show and I said, I'm just going to take it one day at a time. I didn't know that I would even be with you in real estate then. It was not even in my view. And so to figure out.
So basically,
okay,
I got you out of retirement.
You did. And being a stay-at-home mom is not easy.
It is not easy.
It is not easy.
Tell me why it's not easy.
Think about it. You've got to wake up with your children, make sure they're fed, make sure that they have the things that they need out the day. Then you've got to go into some level of education. What are we learning today? Just basic necessities. How do they communicate? I didn't care about the ABCs and the 1, 2, 3s. I wanted my kids to be able to tell me, Mom, I need help. Now today they're like, Mommy, can you help me? I wanted them to make sure that they understood that I was here to support, to help them, like to be able to be mom. Like, you can count on me.
Do you feel it's way different this time than when you were 14?
Absolutely. I had no resources. Let me tell you, when I was let me tell you the resources I had. I had food stamps. I had my WIC checks. I had my regular checks that came in for housing. I did not have Section 8, but I had Medicaid. I still have those Medicaid cards. I don't know where I found them, but I found them and I keep them because it's a constant reminder that you don't have to stay in a place where you were. It's a constant reminder that the cards that I was dealt doesn't have to remain the cards that were dealt. Have you played like spades and you don't have a hand of spades, but you still come out on top anyway because you've moved, you strategized with your partner a little bit. You figured out, maybe you don't see their hands, but you can see how they're playing, and so you play off of them. You see that they're cutting, some hearts, so you start playing all the hearts. And so I realized in that moment that I didn't have to stay where I was.
So what do you say to the people that hear you say that, and they might be on the stamps or the this or the that, and they hear you and they say, you don't have to be there, and they're thinking, yes, I do, and they're angry at you for saying that? What do you say to that person?
You know, make some different decisions and choices. You know, my friends did not want me to go to college. They thought it was not a good idea to leave my son home with my mom. They thought, a lot of people thought I should stay here, but I knew Miami would not get me where I needed to go. Although I didn't know what I wanted to do in college, I wanted to be a school teacher once I got there, and that quickly changed. That's a whole nother story. But I knew I needed another environment, and I applied to 2 schools. I applied to FAMU and the University of Florida, and that was it. They both accepted me, but UF gave me a free ride, so I took that route. The people didn't look like me. It was a different experience. You know, it's just a different experience. I got to experience different cultures that I was not familiar with. I was able to build relationships.
But people are going to hear that I'm talking about that person out there that is actively in the shoes that you were in at 14. And they're going to say, yeah, but you got straight A's. Yeah, but you had all of this and you had that. What do you say to that person if there was a flicker that something could be done about it?
You know, if I take myself back to that moment.
What could you have told yourself?
I did. I made a decision. I just wanted something different. I did not want to live off of welfare for the rest of my life. I did not want to live in a broken space. So I would say this, and I'll just tell you what I did. I changed my environment very quickly, just like that. My friends have swag. We were all smart though. We were all, like, I got into a different group of people because I knew it would yield a different result. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm stuck on, and I hate to say this because I feel like it's going to make me appear to be really white. But you said, all my friends have swag. What does that mean?
So swag, like we were still, like, we were the best things. We wore the Jordans, if that was the thing on the block. We still got our hair done. You know, we weren't, like, maybe I shouldn't say this, but we weren't geeky.
No, we're geeky.
We weren't.
Oh, you weren't geeky?
No, we were the it girls in school. But we were smart.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think some people think, you know, because you're an attorney, you have to be this, you know,
Wait, you're an attorney?
No, but I'm just giving an
you're
example.
Giving an example. Okay.
Like you have to wear the black suit. But if you look at, like, people like Natasha Maine, she goes to court very swaggy. Like, she goes with her colors. And, you know, she's definitely a person that has definitely change the ideal of what it looks like to be in law and fighting cases and just look different. And it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. You know, in my era when I was growing up, it's like being bad was the thing. Like, you know, being bad was the thing. Fighting was the thing. Oh, they're messing with you, we're gonna jump. Like, that was the thing to do. Like, and people didn't really bother us. We were the it girls. And then I got with the it girls. So there were the it girls, and then there were the it girls. And so I just...
And then tell me the second version of the it girls are the girls that are actually getting their lives together when you changed your environment?
We went to class. We didn't skip school anymore. You know, we went to class. We sat in the front.
And this was a different group of people?
Different group of people.
And what happened when you abandoned the old group of people?
You know, they had their things that they had to say, but I'll be honest with you, I was a leader. And
so you were like, I don't care.
A lot of those people just came on the other side. A lot of those people came on the other side. A lot of them did not. A lot of them today are not. They're still doing what they were doing when they were in 9th, 10th, and 11th grade. They are.
Wow.
They are. They are. I knew I would be successful. I just didn't know how. I knew I would meet successful people. I just didn't know how. But as life goes on and you meet different people, you're in different environments, you've got to decide, though. You've got to make a commitment, and you've got to decide. And you got to find mentors. It's hard to get out of an environment where everybody is negative. And that could be the home life. My home life was very negative. Very.
Still?
My dad was very abusive to my mom, both verbally. And so for me, I thought it was great that they divorced. It was not good. It was not a good environment. But even with my mom, was still not a good environment because she was very passive. So there was no reason why I should have been pregnant at 14. I should not have been going to the clubs. I was in clubs at 14 and 15 years old.
So was I.
15 years old?
Oh, yeah.
I'm pregnant in the club. I don't have a ride home, Elena, and I'm getting in the car with a stranger, and I still do this. I fall asleep in the car. It's like I'm a baby as an adult.
I thought you were going to say, I still get in the car with strangers.
No.
That's
But I
not
will
the
fall
part.
asleep. And so I get in the car with a stranger, with my girlfriends. If I was smart, I would have just gotten out of the car with them and just spent a night at my girlfriend's house. And I didn't do that. I get back in the car. I never get out. And I said, just take me home. I give him my address. I wake up and I'm in a whorehouse.
What?
I think you need to I'm in a whorehouse. This guy is taking me in the whorehouse where they're shooting themselves up with needles.
No.
They're on crack. Crack was very big at the time. They're smoking weed. And I'm begging for I'm like, look, I'm pregnant. Do not take me in. And I don't know what came across him, but he dropped me to the nearest payphone. We didn't have cell phones. Well,
did he hurt
the ballers
you?
had cell phones.
Did he
those
hit
big
you?
block
Did he hurt
phones.
you?
He did it, but he took me to the payphone, and you could call 911 from the payphone. So I did that, and my mom picked me up again from the police station. I don't know what my life would have been like had I gone into that whorehouse.
Well,
there were
you forced into the whorehouse?
No, I was still in the car. I was sitting in front of it, though. You could see.
So what was he thinking?
You could see the crackheads coming in and out.
Oh my God!
Like
we
called them basers at the time.
Basers?
Basers. They would base. They would base, and they would just be high.
So what was he thinking? He was going to get money for you? How does this work? I don't understand.
Know. I actually, I'm 15. I'm 14. I'm pregnant. Because I'm pregnant at 14, and then I also give birth when I'm 14. So all this is happening when I'm 14.
So did someone run the whorehouse? Did you meet that person? You didn't get out of...
I didn't get out of the car. I just begged and begged and begged. Actually, I did get out of the car, but I was begging, sitting on the side of the car, like, please don't take me in. Please don't take me in. I could see visually what was going on coming in and out of the house. Like, you could tell homeless people were in there. Like, it was bad. It was like a scene out of the movie. I don't know if you've ever seen, not Friday, Chris Rock played in the movie. Any which way. Like, I had visions of that movie in real life. Like, it was crazy. It was nuts.
So you could have been sex trafficked that day.
Absolutely.
You could have disappeared that day, and we would never...
I could have been raped. I could have had AIDS. Just think about all the things that really happen for real in real life to people. That could have been me.
So did you tell your friends the next day?
I did. I told them. I said, why didn't y'all let me get out of that car? I was asleep in the car at the time.
So they left and you didn't even know?
I was like,
well, you were half sleeping, so you're like, oh,
and
I'm so tired.
When I sleep. Like, when I was growing up, a house down blew up in flames. Can you imagine how many police officers, fire trucks? I slept through the entire thing. So I sleep very hard. So I was in and out of sleep. I knew that they had been dropped off, but I was like, he's going to just take me home.
With you?
We were in 9th grade. We were 14. We believed the guy would take us to begin. Think about it. We get in the car from the club. It was called the Pac Jam at the time. We get out of the club. We have no way home. There's no Uber and all that stuff. You don't have any money for taxis.
No cell phones.
No. Only the ballers had those big block phones at the time.
That's hysterical.
You remember that with the big long?
Yes.
And so we get in the car and they were safe. They just probably thought I would be safe too.
So did you learn your lesson that day? Have you ever gotten in a car with a stranger since?
No. And I was notorious for doing it. I was notorious for doing it. Oh, they'll just drop us where we need to go, you know. But I didn't do that anymore after that.
Whoa.
No. That was a very bad experience for me.
That is a very bad experience. And that's happening.
And then to have to pick up the phone and call my mom. Like,
what did she say?
She was definitely, my mom was very passive. So she didn't fuss. It was like, she was a nurturing, passive person.
What did she think? She thought she was picking you up. Why?
No, I remember now, I didn't have any coins for the payphone. I had to call 911, which you could do without using coins. And so when the police got to me, then they were able to call my mom and
you told them what happened?
Yeah, I had to tell them.
The stranger guy dropped you off at the whorehouse.
Yeah, I'm in the middle of nowhere. I was all the way down south, maybe like close to exit 2 or 1, like Homestead area. Very far from where I am. Takes me about 45 minutes to get there now.
Is that house still there? Have you ever gone back?
I have no recollect of that actual house.
You should go back Oh, you don't know where it is?
I didn't even know where
Or
it is. I'm
even
14.
exists.
I don't know
Yeah,
anything
of
about
course.
directions.
It's like, you need to go to a video in front of that house and warn kids.
Yeah, it's probably not there anymore.
Yeah.
I'm 44.
Let's hope not.
When I was
Let's hope
14.
not.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay,
It's terrible.
so how do you manage it all? Quickly. I'm going to do rapid fire. How do you manage it all?
One day at a time. One day at a time. One bite at a time. I'm in the moment of whatever moment that is. And if that moment calls for me to take away and the school is calling for my kids, then I'm in this moment. And that's just how I function. I do not believe in balance. Like, I've never been able to balance. I literally organize the chaos. I organize
the chaos.
I
love
organize
it.
chaos.
What does 10x mean to you?
1,000-fold. Like 1,000. Wherever you are, just 1,000% more. Like, you have it. All of us have it. But we have to be willing to give it to be able to get to that next level.
How important are females in your life today?
Very important.
Why?
You know, I look at you, Elena, and I'll use you as an example. And this was before I had my babies. But to see how you nurtured, you loved on your children, to see you on Instagram literally taking the time, like, you have to be intentional about that stuff and doing charcuterie boards and learning how to actually say the word.
Can't
and
say it.
Screwing it up, and it's okay, but just really being in the moment, and just to see where those girls have elevated in this short period of time is just phenomenal. And so you're a great example for me to be able to do for my kids the same way you've done for your children.
That makes me want to cry. Thank you. Because that is really one of the most important jobs. Or I think
On
it
earth.
is the most important job.
I think so, and I think we take too when actually, and I know this is rapid fire, but when you started to communicate how important it was, your job, the support, to bear the weight of, like, you start to really think, like, we're very powerful humans.
Totally.
Like, this is important, and when somebody says, "Oh, I'm just at home," I'm saying, just because that's not something that I'm not doing doesn't mean that it's not as important or more important. Like, I have a very high regard for people and parents and mothers, fathers even, who take on that responsibility. It's not easy work. It is not easy.
It seems like just yesterday, I was that person. Now, how am I, the parent, trying to figure out how to handle the person that I just still feel like I am? It's so weird.
Yeah.
Right? No one taught me how to do this.
No.
Yeah.
No.
And Sabrina says it all the time. She says, "Oh, Mom, you're just doing the best you can." Which at first, I thought of it as a little bit of an insult. And then I was like, you know what? I feel so relieved by that. You're right. I'm just doing the best I can.
And they're okay with that.
And they are.
And
They're
I think
like,
sometimes we think that they need so much more than what they have that we overdo it.
Yeah.
We overdo it.
Yeah.
Our kids are just fine.
They are.
They're going to do the best that they know how to do. We have them in the right programs and the right systems around the right people. We teach them how to find those bad targets, how to disengage quickly.
What are you going to tell your daughter who's 14 if she's hanging out with the wrong crowd?
Hopefully when she gets to 14, she can make those right decisions, because we've done the framework from 0 to 13. So I don't anticipate that.
Smart.
I don't anticipate that because we're different parents. I'm 40, I'm not 14. And even at 14, I think Amari had a great life, to be honest. You know, he was in the best of the best schools. You know, he was in the best of the best environments. Amari has traveled to more places on this earth than I have. He has been to China, he's been to Japan, he has been to so many places. We really exposed him. I mean, he's a good kid.
He is a good
He's a good kid.
Yeah, he is.
I think our job as parents to help our kids make better decisions than we made growing up.
I agree.
So I hope I don't get to that point. I don't have an answer for you.
Yeah, because you don't know yet.
And
but-
sometimes I allow Mari to figure it out.
yeah.
You know, even when he was going to college, you know, I'm like, I'm not making this decision because, one, I don't want to be responsible if you don't like it. You make the decision. We've given you the framework. Trust your decision. And he did. And he did well.
Well, you're an amazing woman. You're an amazing mother. You're a huge inspiration.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing to the audience today and sharing your story with us. You're so incredible, Claudienne. I cannot even tell you how much I value our friendship.
Oh, thank you.
It's very true.
Oh.
So, and I know you know that.
And I appreciate you too.
I know you do. I love our friendship.
I love it too.
There you go. We're having a big love fest here, but it is very authentic and very genuine. And this woman, I tell you, if this woman has your back, she will fight for you, and she will not stand or hear ill will of you.
That's right. You already know that.
I do know that. And not many people do that.
Yeah, it's
and
what you do when that person's not around, I think that counts the most. And so I appreciate you too.
Yeah. Well, you know I would never let anyone mess with my Claudienne either. Lisa
right.
Copeland and I have your back. Believe me.
1,000%.
No one would even dare, by the way, because, you know, maybe sometimes I could be tough and scary too.
Right. And I love you for that.
Yeah. Anyway, there you go. Another amazing episode of the Elena Cardone Show. Always bringing it to you today. Claudienne Hibbert-Smith, thank you.
I love you. Thank you too.
About to grace us, whether extraordinary, 10x skill. 10x badass. Yeah, I'm after what I want.